Hello there, everybody. This is TJ Fowler for Skullbanger.net. I am here with Joey Severance, superstar.
Superstar Joey Severance,
That's right. And
Tuomas Leskinen.
That's right. For the band Tornado, a thrash band from here in Finland. Now, guys, I'm relatively new to your music. I just listened to it the other day. Now, what can you tell me a little bit about your music? It sounded like thrash metal to me, a little bit Anthrax. So
I've heard that before. Probably has because of the way that I sing, the vocal style. But I like to call our music sleazy thrash because there's elements of, probably more visually, of like the 80s glam scene, but musically it's definitely rooted in like Slayer, Testament, Exodus, you know, the cream of the crop of the thrash scene, one could say.
Sure. And what you got to say about that is...
Yeah.
Same.
Man of many words over here. Now, I got on, what was it, Reverb Nation. I listened to some songs.
Okay.
I only saw 3 songs on Reverb Nation. Now, I'm assuming you have more material than that. We're not going to hear 3 songs out here.
No, we actually have a whole album which came out on Listenable Records. I believe it was 2011. Peter Tachterin from Hypocrisy produced it. On that album, there were 12 songs, including an LA Guns cover, and so all of the material that you'll hear tonight will be taken from the album, because we've just started the writing process for the next record, which we'll be recording in Helsinki in December with Jan and Nick from Amorphous producing.
Okay, cool. Now, I noticed some of your songs had some interesting titles. Preacher Pedophilia. Now, who wrote that song?
I did.
Okay, and well, I'll ask you about that then. So what's going on there, man?
Well, the whole idea behind priesthood pedophilia is just the cover-up of the church. I mean, first of all, for people that follow that religion, I can't imagine you trusting anyone. You probably trust your priest more than you trust your spouse. With that said, with that amount of trust that you put into a person, it's real easy to leave your children with them. And then the horrific thing that the church is allowing these priests to do, it's unacceptable. And the fact that they try to cover it up makes it even worse. So as far as I'm concerned, all of these priests that are accused of molesting these children, there's one solution: line them all up and shoot them straight in the fucking mouth. No questions about it. That's it.
Judge, jury, and execution.
Judge, jury, and executioner. Exactly.
Gotcha. Now, obviously, he's from the States, such as I am. The rest of you guys are native Finnish guys, correct? Okay. Now, how did you run into this individual over here?
I found that he's looking a guitar player. So I contacted him and here we are.
Oh.
And then after that I asked Timo to join us.
Okay. So now you're not based in Kuopio though, right? You're from Tampere?
I'm from Kuopio.
Oh, okay. But the rest of the guys are from Tampere. And you...
Timo is also from Kuopio.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of a mixture. So you're from all over. Now, obviously the big question is, you told me, and obviously you're from the States, but you told me originally from Providence, Rhode Island, came here via Amsterdam. So let's hear the story, man.
Well, I was working at Metal Blade Records way back when. I had a bet with Brian Slagle, my boss, which I won this bet, and my winning was that he would pay for me to go to, at the time, the Dynamo Open Air Festival, which was happening in Holland. I went there. The Dutch people specifically made a huge impact on me, just how they interact with other human beings. I thought I had never come across such a people before, and I wanted to live among them. And my whole time in Amsterdam, I tried to find the right guys. And by the right guys, I meant for this band, especially considering the style of music that we play, image is not usually associated with that. More specifically, the type of image that I was looking for, like I said, which is more of like the 80s glam bass type thing. You know, for me, it's like the best of both worlds. I grew up listening to both, whereas, you know, back then you were on one side of the fence or the other. I was like right in the middle. I was on this side and I was on that side, and I've always wanted to do a band that sounded this way and looked that way. So if you saw a picture of the band, it doesn't really tell you anything because we look one way and we sound a different way. The problem for me being in Amsterdam is that the Dutch people are really introverted, really mellow, and real simple. So I couldn't get anyone pretty much to agree to the look that I wanted to have for this band. And for me, the look is equally as important as the sound. I mean, somewhere along the lines over the years, image of bands has just went away. So now you've got anyone is on stage and they're a band now. And I mean, I'm not slagging anyone, but when I grew up, rock and roll, when you saw a group of guys, you weren't mistaking them for anything other than a rock and roll band. And somewhere, like I said, somewhere over the years, that's been blurred. And that's something that I specifically wanted to keep the tradition of, rock bands looking, not only sounding like a band, but also looking like one, whether it's on stage or off stage. So for me, that was really important. And I knew that I wasn't going to find it there in Amsterdam after a while. So I came here. And it's funny, going back to what you just talked with Thomas over here, because I remember when I had put together the ad that I wanted to put out, this is the kind of band that I want, etc., etc. I had sent it off to a few of my Finnish friends to see if they could translate for me, and almost everyone told me the same thing. Dude, Finnish people are really quiet, they're mellow, no one is going to write you back. And Thomas actually was the first guy that did write me back. And before he wrote me back, I had a list of guys. What I was doing is I was going to my Finnish friends' Facebook, and then I was stalking their friends. And whenever I found a guy that I liked the way that he looked, I put him in a specific folder. I'm going to contact these people. And he was actually in that folder. He wrote me before I got a chance to wrote him. But that's how I ended up finding the other guys, with the exception of Timo. I wrote Henry and I wrote Yanni, all the same thing. Listen, this is what I have going on. This is what I want to do. And I'm interested in you. Would you be interested? And then we set a date. Everyone came over to my place. I laid out my spiel, and here we are.
Very cool. Now, he said he was stalking you on Facebook, and he liked the way you looked. Now, did that strike you as a little?
Yeah.
Now, to be clear, you said you wanted an image that looked like rock stars. Now, and you wanted.
Well,
now, you're not talking about glammy, like Poison type of looks.
I am talking.
Oh, okay.
Listen,
okay.
Here's the thing.
Where's the makeup, guys? Where's the makeup?
Well, see, I wouldn't go so far as I'm not a makeup kind of guy, but as far as dressing, but here's the thing. It's funny you should mention Poison, because a lot of people can look at their older stuff and say, well, that's gay and blah, 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 that and the other. But listen, let me tell you something. And this is what people don't realize, using Poison as a perfect example with all their big hair and all their makeup. Just imagine, and you would know being American, just imagine pulling up at a truck stop somewhere in Texas or the Bible Belt in the middle of the afternoon, walking off of your tour bus looking the way that they do. It takes fucking balls. Balls that a lot of macho guys don't have. So if you're looking at it from one point of view, it's really easy to ridicule those guys. Yeah, they look like fags and they look like girls, this, that, and the other. Dude, let me see you dress up like that and walk into a truck stop in the middle of the day in some fucking redneck town and see how you can handle it. Probably couldn't, which is probably why a lot of guys don't look like they do. I mean, I don't know, I'm just speculating, but yeah, I'm sure those guys get a lot of ridicule. I mean, I'm sure some people look at us and say, what's up with those clothes that this band is wearing? But anyone that tells you that your image is not as important as your music, they're dead wrong.
Well, I've kind of, I've got an opinion on that as well. Image is associated with any genre of music, any genre.
Right.
And the grunge bands tried to say in the 90s, which it was bad times in Tennessee for me in the 90s.
Bad times everywhere.
Oh, man. But, they tried to say, oh, we're about the music. It's not about an image. And they were lying just as much as any other band that says the image is not important. It is important to a certain degree. Your metal bands, Judas Priest kind of set a standard for that.
Judas Priest,
and I mean, to me, the music ultimately you want it to sound good, you want it to be good, but image, it just by association of people coming to watch you on a show,
right,
they're kind of wanting to see somebody that doesn't look like themselves.
I'm glad you said that, because when I walk on the stage looking into the crowd, I don't ever want to see a motherfucker dressed the way that I do, dude. What? When you see women, they go to a party and one chick sees another chick dressed like her, and in their head they're thinking, that bitch is wearing the same dress as I am. I'm kind of the same way. Listen, you should be on stage if you're all pimped out like that, as far as I'm concerned. And there's a reason why you're not, and I am. So that's how I look at it. I mean, it has nothing to do with being better than someone else. It just has to do with, I worked my ass off at this craft doing this profession, and this is how I think we should look.
Sure. So, do you guys have like actual? Are you going on stage like this, or do you have some outfits? Or
Yeah, we have some.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I've always vowed that I personally would never ever walk on stage wearing what I've been wearing during the day. Let's take Kiss for example.
Oh, well.
I mean, look. Let's face it. I mean, I'm a huge Kiss fan. Paul Stanley, baby. So, Kiss, as great as their music is, if they took, and they did in the 80s, it wasn't as cool. I mean, sure, they were still cool, but it wasn't as cool as seeing Gene Simmons in those fucking boots, breathing that fucking fire. It just adds a different element to it.
It does. Well, it does add a different element. I think as far as Kiss is concerned, if you want to talk about the 80s compared to their 70s image, I think when they took the makeup off, the image shifted from Gene Simmons blowing fire to the girls paying attention to Paul Stanley acting like a girl.
Girls always pay attention.
So I mean, it was different, but their popularity was still very high in the 80s. But I mean, you had a shift in, I think, demographics too, in terms of I think you had more girls go to Kiss shows in the 80s than you did probably from the Destroyer era.
Right.
So, except for the groupies, maybe, I don't know. But
I wonder how those guys.
Well, when you have videos and Paul Stanley is sitting here and he's walking out in some sort of I don't know. Well, you know how Paul Stanley walks. He dips his hand in some water and makes a tear run down his eyes. Not a lot of dudes are going to associate with that, but
yeah, but you know what? I can tell you, as a dude, and Paul Stanley is my fucking main man. As a guy looking at Paul Stanley, to me, he is the quintessential rock star. He is when I was a kid and I was holding albums in my hand and I was daydreaming about, what are these bands doing in their dressing rooms and on tour and this, that, and the other. And the image of rock star, that Paul Stanley is the first guy that comes into my head, and I think they set it up that way. And in my own way, that's what I'm trying to continue on in what I saw the guys that I looked up to musically as a kid growing up, the Paul Stanleys and the David Lee Roths. I mean, true, genuine, 100% fucking frontmen. Not some asshole just standing there holding a microphone, screaming into it and announcing the next song. Dude, anybody. When I say anybody can do that, but not everybody can be fucking Paul Stanley or David Lee Roth.
And I'll agree with you on that. It takes a certain kind of a personality and charisma to be a singer.
Yeah.
And I think the 90s helped usher in a era of where first it ushered in an era of shitty music. And I'll say it right now, it ushered in an era of really bad music, and it made people think that they could be. And I don't want to say that kids shouldn't have dreams to be a professional musician. I think everybody's got to try.
Right.
But there comes a time to where obviously someone needs to say, look, you don't really have. But I don't know. It just seems like a lot of bad music got promoted in the 90s. And I was in Tennessee, which heavy metal was never a big thing in Tennessee. And then the 90s came around and people looked at me like they couldn't even, they'd say, Iron Maiden, is that the guys who played Come On Feel the Noise, right? And I was like, yeah, that's who it was. And I'd walk away or something. But, so I understand. You got a digital age now, so there's bands everywhere too. But so I don't know. But now anyway, is this your first show together, or
no, this is actually our second show together. We did a show in Helsinki in April supporting Amoro. This is our second show right now, and probably after this we're gonna take a break from playing shows so that we can get the songs together for the new record. It's pretty much due. I mean, that's been the Achilles heel of this band is I've never been able to have a lineup that I felt comfortable walking onto a stage with, and now I feel 100% with this lineup walking onto any stage with any band.
Now I've seen Tuomas. He's performed before. Was it God's Play or Carnal Demise?
Carnal Demise.
Yeah, I've seen him play before, and he's really good. So I know you got a good guy over here, man. You know, so
I've got all good guys.
Good stuff.
Crew.
Yeah,
that's why they're here. Yeah, you know, I've always said to everyone that if I could find 4 other guys like me on stage, I'd have a really kick-ass band, and I believe that I found that coming here to Finland and meeting up with the guys that make up our band that we have now called Tornado.
Well, cool. Well, tell the people out there, this is going to go hopefully on Blabbermouth and Brave Words if they decide to post it, but tell people out there back in America, back in the States, all over, coming to a Tornado show, what is it that they can expect? I'll ask you both. So what do you tell people to expect from a Tornado show?
It's gonna be blast.
It's going to be a blast, all right?
Yeah, it's like a party. It's like going to a party. We are one of those bands. Now, the lyrical subject of our songs are very important, and they should be noticed. But when people come to a show and they spend their hard-earned money, or at least using myself as an example, when I would spend my mother's hard-earned money going to a show.
That you stole out of her purse, right?
Well, no. I would just say, Mama, I need that money, and after some huffing and puffing, it would appear in my hand. So, but I think generally speaking, people, when they go out and they leave their homes out on the town, they want to have a good time. So that's what we on stage, I mean, we have to give it every bit of energy that we have. And we hope that the crowd can feed off on that, and hopefully by the time that our set is done, they have felt satisfied that they've gotten their money's worth for however amount of time that we were on stage, that we were able to perform and entertain them. You know, one thing I don't hear people talking about, a lot of guys call themselves artists, and dude, we're fucking entertainers. We're not artists. We are on stage to entertain, and that's what we do. I mean, artists is, you know, must be a nice way of glorifying what you do. I view myself as an entertainer. I'm on stage to entertain people for the 30 or 35 minutes that I'm allowed to, and hopefully within that time period, they've been entertained by the time that we have finished.
Well, that sounds good. It's good to know that you don't have a overinflate like I've heard people call themselves artists too, and everybody that I've ever associated with that's called themselves artists usually aren't very artistic, and they're I don't know, they're kind of assholes. So
this is rock and roll and entertainment, just another form of entertainment. It's no different from going to the circus, no different from going to see a play. Some plays are serious, some are comical. We have like the best of all, I would like to hope.
Okay, cool. Well, before we get off here, you want to tell the people out there where to look you up, find your music, websites, anything like that?
Well, you can find us now mainly on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Tornado Finland. And from there, that can direct you to other pages that we might have.
All right, you got any final things you want to say?
Keep it metal.
Yeah, there you go. Anything?
I just want to say thank you for your time, and anyone that's listened to us talk bullshit this long, thank you for your time, and give our band a chance. I mean, what our band has to offer is songs. We write songs, and by songs, I mean that when you hear it, something is going to stay with you, a riff, a chorus, but it's an actual song. The art of songwriting has become so lost since the 80s that it's a shame. Today, when I listen to records, I hear a collection of riffs, and it has nothing to offer to me personally. So I think if people gave us a chance, they might hear what I'm talking about.
Awesome. All right, guys, this is Tornado here at Henry's Pub in Kuopio, Finland. This is Tuomas and
Joey,
and this is TJ from Skullbanger.net signing off.
Thank you very much, TJ.
No problem.
Thanks.
Yeah.